I never thought I'd become the town drunk. That wasn't the plan when Marcus and I moved to Millbrook 5 years ago, full of dreams about opening our bookstore and growing old together in this quiet New England town. But plans change when your husband dies in a car accident on a Tuesday morning while picking up coffee. Plans shatter when you're 32 and suddenly a widower, and that word feels too old, too formal for what you actually are, which is just broken. The drinking started small. A glass of wine with dinner became 2, then 3, then I stopped bothering with dinner altogether. 6 months after Marcus died, I'd wake up on the couch surrounded by empty bottles, and the bookstore we dreamed about sat half-renovated and abandoned. People in town started talking. I could see it in their eyes at the grocery store, hear the whispers cut short when I walked by. Poor Reed. Such a shame. He used to be so put together. Now look at him. I didn't care. Caring required energy I didn't have. The alcohol made everything softer, quieter, like someone had wrapped the world in cotton wool. It dulled the edge of waking up alone, of reaching across the bed and finding it cold, of seeing Marcus everywhere and nowhere all at once. It was a Thursday afternoon in late September when I met Oliver. I remember because Thursdays were when Marcus used to make his famous carbonara, and I'd spent the morning crying into a bottle of bourbon at 10 a.m, which was a new low even for me. I decided I needed more alcohol, so I stumbled to the liquor store on Main Street, not caring that I was wearing sweatpants with stains and a shirt I'd slept in for 3 days. I didn't see the curb. One moment I was walking, the next I was falling, and my face was heading straight for the concrete. But I never hit it. Someone caught me, strong hands gripping my arm, steadying me. I looked up, and there he was. He had dark eyes that seemed to actually see me, not through me like everyone else did. His hair was slightly messy, like he'd been running his hands through it, and he wore a simple grey sweater that looked soft. He was maybe a few years younger than me, with the kind of face that was striking rather than conventionally handsome, all sharp angles and intensity. "Whoa there," he said, his voice low and steady. "You okay?" I tried to pull away, embarrassed, angry at myself, angry at him for witnessing this. "I'm fine. Let go." "You're not fine," he said, but his tone wasn't judgmental. It was matter-of-fact, almost gentle. "When's the last time you ate something? None of your business." I finally yanked free from his grip, stumbling slightly. "I don't need a saviour." "Good," he said, "because I'm not one. But there's a diner across the street and I was about to get lunch. You could join me, or you could go buy whatever you were going to buy and wake up tomorrow feeling like death. Your choice." I should have told him to go to hell. I should have walked away. But something in his eyes stopped me. He wasn't looking at me with pity or disgust. He was looking at me like I was a person, like I mattered, and I hadn't felt that in so long. "Why do you care?" I asked. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "Because 6 years ago someone stopped me from making the biggest mistake of my life, and they did it by offering me a sandwich and not asking questions, so I'm paying it forward." That's how I ended up in a booth at Rosie's Diner watching Oliver order us both burgers and fries, while I sat there feeling surreal and slightly nauseous. My hands were shaking. I shoved them under the table so he wouldn't see. "I'm Oliver," he said when the waitress left. "I moved here about 2 months ago, bought the old Henderson house on Maple Street." "Reed," I managed, "and you should know, everyone in this town thinks I'm a mess. You're not doing your reputation any favours sitting with me." "I don't really care what people think," Oliver said. He had this way of looking directly at you when he spoke, giving you his complete attention. It was unnerving and comforting at the same time. Besides, I'm not exactly Mr. Popular myself. Apparently being a single guy who keeps to himself and works from home makes you suspicious in a small town. Despite everything, I almost smiled. "What do you do?" "I'm a graphic novelist. I illustrate and write. It's solitary work, which suits me." The food arrived and he pushed my plate toward me. "Eat." I picked up a fry, more to stop him from staring at me than because I was hungry. But once I started, I realised I was starving. I couldn't remember the last real meal I'd had. We didn't talk much while I ate. Oliver seemed content with the silence, occasionally eating his own burger, glancing out the window at the small-town street. When I finally pushed the empty plate away, he said, "Better?" "Yeah," I admitted. "Thanks." "Don't thank me yet," he said. "I'm going to ask you something, and you can tell me it's none of my business, but I'm going to ask anyway. Are you trying to kill yourself, or are you just trying to stop feeling?" The directness of it shocked me. Everyone else tiptoed around me, spoke in soft voices, avoided the real questions. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Maybe both. Maybe neither. I just want it to stop hurting." What happened? And maybe it was because he was a stranger, or maybe it was because I was tired of carrying it alone, but I told him. I told him about Marcus, about the accident, about how we were supposed to have 50 more years together and instead I got 3. I told him about the bookstore, about how I couldn't bring myself to finish it or sell it, so it just sat there like a monument to everything I'd lost. I told him about the drinking, about becoming the person everyone whispered about. Oliver listened without interrupting, without offering empty platitudes or telling me it would get better. When I finished, he said, "That's a lot of pain to carry." "Yeah. The drinking isn't helping, though. You know that, right?" "It helps me forget." "Does it?" he asked. "Or does it just postpone the remembering?" I didn't have an answer for that. He paid for lunch despite my protests, and as we stood outside the diner, he said, "I'm going to give you my number. You don't have to call, you don't have to do anything. But if you want help, or if you just want someone to sit with you while you figure things out, call me." "Why would you do that?" I asked. "You don't know me." "Because everyone deserves someone who sees them," Oliver said simply. "And I see you, Reed. Not the town drunk, not the tragic widower, just you, and I think you're worth saving even if you don't believe that right now." I took his number, crumpled the paper in my pocket, and walked home. I fully intended to throw it away and never think about Oliver again. Instead, I sat on my couch staring at it for 3 hours, his words echoing in my head. "I see you." I didn't call him that night, or the next day. But on Saturday, when I woke up shaking and sick and more alone than I could bear, I picked up the phone. "Hello?" His voice was rough with sleep. "It's Reed. I don't know why I'm calling." "That's okay," he said, and I could hear rustling like he was sitting up. "Do you want me to come over?" "I don't know. Maybe. I just didn't want to be alone." "Give me your address. I'll be there in 15 minutes. He showed up in 12, carrying a bag from the grocery store. He didn't comment on the bottles scattered around my living room or the fact that I looked like hell. He just unpacked the bag in my kitchen, making coffee and toast, moving around my space like he had every right to be there. "You're bossy," I said from the doorway. "I prefer the term assertively helpful," he replied, handing me coffee. "Drink this. Then you're going to shower while I clean up out here." "You don't have to do that." "I know, I want to." He met my eyes. "Let someone help you, Reed. Just for today. You can go back to pushing everyone away tomorrow if you want." So I let him. I showered for the first time in days, and when I came out, my living room was clean. Oliver had opened the windows, letting in fresh air, and he was sitting on my couch looking at a photo of Marcus and me on our wedding day. "He was beautiful," Oliver said softly. "You both look so happy." "We were." I sat down next to him, leaving space between us. "Everyone keeps telling me I need to move on, to let go. But I don't know how to stop loving him." "Maybe you don't have to," Oliver said. "Maybe moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. Maybe it just means learning to carry the love differently." Something in my chest cracked open at those words. I started crying, really crying, for the first time since the funeral. Oliver didn't try to stop me or comfort me with touch. He just sat there, present and solid, letting me break apart. That became our pattern over the next few weeks. Oliver would show up, sometimes with food, sometimes with just himself. He'd sit with me through the shaking, through the cravings, through the moments when I wanted to give up. He never pushed, never demanded anything from me. He was just there. Slowly, I started drinking less. Not because Oliver told me to, but because I wanted to be present when he was around. I wanted to remember our conversations, the way he laughed at my dark jokes, the way he listened like every word I said mattered. One evening, about a month after we met, we were sitting on my back porch watching the sunset. Oliver was sketching in his notebook, and I was drinking coffee instead of whiskey, which felt like a victory. "Can I see what you're drawing?" I asked. He hesitated, then turned the notebook toward me. It was me. He'd drawn me looking out at the sunset, and somehow he'd captured something in the lines that I hadn't seen in myself in over a year. He'd drawn me looking peaceful, almost hopeful. "Is that how you see me?" I asked, my voice rough. "That's who you are," Oliver said. "Under all the pain, that's the Reed I see." I looked at him then, really looked at him. The way the fading light caught in his dark eyes, the slight curve of his mouth, the gentleness in his expression, and I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't the desperate, all-consuming love I'd had with Marcus. It was quieter, softer, like a door opening in a room I'd thought was sealed forever. "Oliver," I said, not sure what I was going to say next. "Yeah? Thank you for seeing me, for not giving up." He smiled and it transformed his whole face. "You're worth it, Reed. I hope someday you'll believe that." The thing was, I was starting to. Slowly, painfully, I was starting to see myself through his eyes. Not as the town drunk or the broken widower, but as someone who was struggling and surviving, and maybe, possibly, healing. It was another 2 weeks before I admitted to myself what was happening. I was falling for Oliver, not trying to replace Marcus, but making room for something new, and it terrified me. We were at the abandoned bookstore of all places. I'd finally gotten up the courage to show it to him, this dream that Marcus and I had shared. Oliver walked through the space, running his hands over the half-built shelves, looking at the architectural plans still tacked to the walls. "This is beautiful," he said. "You should finish it." "I can't. Every time I think about it, I see Marcus. We designed this together. It was our dream." Oliver turned to face me. "So make it your dream now. Not forgetting him, but honouring him. Finishing what you started. You don't have to do it alone." "Are you offering to help?" I asked. "If you want me to." He moved closer, and I was suddenly very aware of the space between us, the way my heart was beating faster. "Reed, I need to tell you something." "Okay. I didn't just randomly run into you that day. I mean, I did, but it wasn't coincidence that I was there." He looked uncomfortable, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen him. "I'd noticed you around town, and I asked about you at the coffee shop. They told me about Marcus, about what you were going through, and I saw you heading toward the liquor store that day, and I followed you because I thought maybe I could help." "You stalked me?" I asked, but there was no anger in it. "I was concerned about you," he said, "and maybe I was looking for an excuse to talk to you, because the truth is, Reed, I've been attracted to you from the first time I saw you at the farmer's market 2 months ago. Even when you were at your lowest, I saw something in you that drew me in, and these past weeks, getting to know you, being there for you, I've fallen for you. Completely. And I know the timing is terrible, and you might not be ready, and that's okay, but I needed you to know." My breath caught. "Oliver, you don't have to say anything," he said quickly. "I don't expect anything. I just wanted to be honest." "I'm falling for you too," I said, the words tumbling out, and it scares the hell out of me. Because I still love Marcus. I always will. And I don't know if I have room in my heart for both of you, or if that's even fair to you." Oliver stepped closer, close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "Love isn't finite. Reed, your heart doesn't have a capacity limit. Loving me doesn't mean loving Marcus less, and I'm not asking you to choose. I'm just asking you to let yourself feel this, let yourself have something good again." "What if I mess this up?" I whispered. "What if I'm too broken?" "You're not broken," he said firmly. "You're healing, and healing isn't linear. There will be bad days. There will be moments when you miss Marcus so much you can't breathe, and I'll be there for all of it, if you'll let me." I kissed him. I didn't plan it, didn't think about it. I just closed the distance between us and pressed my lips to his. He made a soft sound of surprise, then kissed me back, gentle and careful, like I was something precious. When we pulled apart, I was crying again, but this time it felt different, like release instead of drowning. "Is this okay?" Oliver asked, his forehead resting against mine. "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, it's okay. It's more than okay." We took it slow after that. Oliver never pushed for more than I was ready to give. Some nights we'd sit on the couch watching movies, his arm around my shoulders, and that was enough. Other nights we'd talk until 3 a.m. about everything and nothing, and I'd fall asleep to the sound of his voice. I started working on the bookstore again. Oliver helped, and we'd spend weekends painting walls and building shelves. I put up a photo of Marcus in the back office, and Oliver never questioned it. He understood that Marcus would always be part of my story, part of who I was. The town gossip shifted from poor Reed the drunk to poor Reed moving on so fast. But I stopped caring what they thought. Oliver had taught me that my healing didn't need to make sense to anyone but me. 3 months after that first kiss, we were lying in Oliver's bed, the morning sun streaming through the windows. He was tracing patterns on my shoulder, and I was memorizing the feeling of being held, of being wanted, of being loved again. "I love you," I said. The words felt huge and terrifying and right. Oliver's hand stilled. "You don't have to say that." "I know, but I do. I love you, Oliver. Not the same way I loved Marcus, but that doesn't make it less real. You saved my life. You saw me when I was invisible. You gave me a reason to keep going. I love you." He pulled me closer, burying his face in my hair. "I love you too. God, Reed, I love you so much." We opened the bookstore in the spring, Marcus and Reed's books, because Oliver insisted that Marcus should be honoured in the name. The whole town showed up for the opening, and if some of them came out of curiosity or judgment, I didn't care. I had Oliver by my side, and I had a business that honoured my past while building my future. That night, after everyone left, Oliver and I sat in the empty store surrounded by books. He was sketching again, and I was reading, and it felt like peace, like home. "Thank you," I said quietly. "For what?" "For not giving up on me. For seeing past the town drunk to the person underneath. For loving me even when I didn't love myself." Oliver set down his sketchbook and took my hand. "You don't have to thank me for that. Loving you is the easiest thing I've ever done." I kissed him there among the books and the dreams and the second chances, and I thought about how grief doesn't end, but it changes, how you can honour the past while embracing the future, how love can find you even in your darkest moments, if you're brave enough to let it in. They called me the town drunk. Oliver saw a grieving widower who deserved compassion, who deserved love, who deserved a second chance at happiness. And in seeing me, he saved me. Not from the alcohol or the grief, but from the belief that I wasn't worth saving. Now I wake up next to him, and the first thing I feel isn't pain, it's gratitude. For Marcus, who taught me what love could be. For Oliver, who taught me that I could love again. For second chances and new beginnings and the courage to keep going even when everything feels impossible. I still have bad days. Days when I miss Marcus so much it physically hurts. But Oliver is there, holding my hand through it, reminding me that grief and joy can coexist. That I can honour my past while building my future. That I'm not defined by my lowest moment, but by my choice to keep getting up. They called me the town drunk. But Oliver saw the truth. He saw me. And in being seen, I learned to see myself again, to forgive myself, to love myself, and to believe that I deserved all the beautiful things life still had to offer. That's the thing about love. It doesn't fix you. It doesn't erase the pain or rewrite the past, but it holds your hand in the darkness. It reminds you that you're not alone. It gives you a reason to keep fighting, to keep healing, to keep becoming. And sometimes, when you're lucky enough to find someone who truly sees you, that's enough. That's everything.